Good afternoon. My name is Jay Rothman, and I am with Debbie, and welcome to Real People, Real Stories, Raw. Good morning, good afternoon, Debbie. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got back. I did a quick spiritual practice. I did a short hike this morning, so I can get back here, get into the studio, and do some studio testing, and have this beautiful conversation between Priyu, myself, and you. And so, well, this is a special edition. Usually we come in on Sundays, but we had an opportunity to have Priyu join us from South America. And her weekends are difficult for her to be able to get a live feed with Wi-Fi. So it had to be during the week. And so here we are, right here, right now, in this moment. And so I'm excited to get the show going. And so let's get it going.
Wonderful. Well, I just wanted to say a few things before we started. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you everybody for watching, because without you guys, we wouldn't really have a show. And thank you for all the support. I just want to say, together, Jay and I, we create a safe environment where everybody can actually feel safe to reveal their true stories and their obstacles in this amazing journey called life, in a very non-judgmental and safe space. And I feel it takes a village of everybody to help support. So all the support that you guys have that reach out to Priya and to all of us really means a lot to us. So first we need to feel it, then we need to reveal it, and then we can heal from it. And that's what our goal is here.
As Deb just shared, our intention is to always create a very safe space for our guests, and at any time if they're feeling uncomfortable with a question that may pop up, or an emotion or feeling, that they can obviously just set a gentle, loving boundary with us and say, in this moment, I'm just not comfortable. We have reviewed that with Priyu, who will be joining us shortly. And so I would like just to take a moment to welcome those friends of ours that are part of our community, Deb, that are joining us live. If you're here live, thank you so much for supporting us and being here. If you're coming in, wherever you're coming in from, feel free to let us know in your comment section. If you're coming in, what state? From the United States. If you're coming in from overseas, let us know that as well, because it means so much to us to know that we have a global reach today. The only thing that separates you, I, and everyone else that joins us is just our willingness or unwillingness to show up for ourselves. Beyond that, we are all connected together, soul to soul. And that's what makes this show just a beautiful experience for you and I, Deb, and for our guests and those that join us in the community. If you hear something that you love or like, please gently press with love and kindness the like and love button. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them out there in your comment section, and we will respond after the show within the next 24 hours or so, or when it's convenient for all three of us. And without further ado, I'm excited to bring in Priyu to introduce her to the community, and then we can hear her story and how her life is today.
Wonderful. And don't forget to share this out, everyone.
Good afternoon, Priyu. Welcome to Real People, Real Stories.
Good afternoon, Deb and Jay. Thank you both for having me. I'm so excited to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. It means a lot to us that you're showing up and you're able and willing and ready to share your story. It takes a lot of courage.
Both of you are doing an incredible job, and I want to say hats off. Well done. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
It's wonderful that people feel safe to come on your show and be open up and share their stories with the world in general. Thank you so much for doing that, and that gives me courage to come on. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming on, because it takes a lot of courage to, first of all, even just message and say, hey, I have a story in the first place, but to come on and actually share it with us is huge. So thank you very much.
So how we met, Priyu, is I believe Dharam Patel, who is one of our friends.
He suggested.
He reached out to me initially, and I thought he wanted to come on the show to share his story. And I got all excited, and he's like, maybe someday I will come on, but I have someone that's a friend of mine that
Okay.
I think has a story that she'd love to tell and share with your community. And so I'm reaching out on her behalf. Basically, he acted as your manager, as
It is.
your manager, as your agent, and said, "You've got to meet Priyu, and I'd like to make the introduction." And so that's how we were met through a third party. And Dharam Patel is actually joining us, coming in from New Delhi, India. He's with us this morning. And Dharam, thank you so much for supporting the work that both Debbie and I do, and suggesting that Priyu join us this afternoon. Priyu, you are share with us and the community what country you live in and what part of the world and continent that is located.
Well, I'm coming in from Guyana, South America, and it's the only English-speaking country in the South America, and I'm Indian. Most of you might be familiar with my name. I came from an Indian family, and we still live in an Indian culture, although we live in South America, just to clarify that. And I'm so happy to be sharing this with you guys.
So, are you ready to begin the process of sharing your story of your life and the parts that are important to you that you feel you want to put out here? And part of this too, Priyu, is that for us, the intention of the show is to bring guests on like yourself that are ready to step forward. My understanding is this is the first time you are on a live stream show feed, and this is the first time you're stepping forward in such a vulnerable, open way, in reaching basically the vastness of the globe, the global community that we have. And the second part is not only for you to have the courage to come on and share your story and have your voice heard, but to hopefully encourage others that may resonate with something they hear in your story that helps them to begin their healing process, their healing journey, and hopefully perhaps down the road have the courage to step forward and join us in the studio and come on and share their story. And so I want to just take a moment to thank you for joining us this morning, this afternoon, where you're coming in. You're 4 hours ahead of us in Mountain Time, as well as to acknowledge how much it means to both Debbie and I that you are here, that you are willing to step forward and share your truths. And so I honor you. We honor you in this moment. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Jay and Debbie. I'm so happy to be here. So, without further ado, I want to get right into it. And I would say that growing up as a child, as far as I can remember, is that there was always something in my family that kept me away from people. More specifically, the depression that was created within that environment that helped me to myself, that it made me feel that it wasn't okay for me to go out. Like the abuse that I received, that I wasn't good, things like that. You're a failure, you wouldn't be able to achieve things in your life, then those kind of things kept me in the dark. Growing up from childhood to my adult years, my teenage years into my adult years, it was really devastating sometimes that my mom would have frequent visits to the school because my teachers would always complain that I'm not performing well. I'm always this kid that sits alone, and I'm not performing well in my academics and my study. And because of the environment that I was struggling, no one knew what I was going through. And for years and years, I was in this dark area, and I've never brought myself out, like except for the past 2 years. Not only that when I was 6, things changed so much, from depression to an abusive. No, I was like like my family, friends, everyone was abusing me. they were putting me down to such an extent that I was nothing, that I didn't have a purpose to exist. And what happened when I was 6 years that was that I got into an accident. Me, my baby brother, and my mom, we were coming from the clinic and waiting to cross the road, and a motorcycle and a minibus came crashing into us. I was the one that suffered most of the injuries. I suffered two fractures on both of my legs, and I was fine, but the doctors spoiled my legs. They twisted my ankle, and because of that I can't walk like a normal person would. People put me down that I'm not normal, and I wouldn't be able to live a normal life, and I wouldn't be able to accomplish things that normal people would. And because of that, my parents constantly deny me of opportunities, things that I wanted to do, things that I wished to accomplish. Those, because of my broken, not my my ankle, that the doctors made that mistake with, because they twisted it, and I can't walk like a normal person. They denied me that you're not safe out there. You might get into an accident again. Forget your dreams. Your life is more important. And what they fail to understand, like from time to time, I try to convince them that there are people in worse situation than I am, and they're growing so much. They're accomplishing so much, and this is no big deal, or it's nothing to be worried about. And because of this specific reason, I wasn't able to move ahead in my life, like become that person that I always wanted to be. That's what held me back. And not only my parents, but people kept pushing me that you're gonna grow old, you're not gonna be successful, you're nothing, no one is gonna like you, you're not likable, you're not pretty. And another thing, I was very much discriminated against my cousin, because they all were much fairer complexion than I am. And relatives would always put me down for that I wasn't pretty enough. And those voices kept rotating in my head, like over and over, over and over. And for years and years, there had been like those voices in my head that keep constantly telling me that whatever they're saying is true. Whatever they're telling me is the truth. That there is nothing better than what they're saying. That maybe they're right. I don't have a purpose. Like, I should accept whatever they're saying. And for years and years, I've kept myself in that, afraiding that people would not accept me, people would not like me, that I would fail if I set out to do something. And I have to say this, it has been really trying for me. Like a moment, like those years have been really, really tough for me. I have to say this, that one time I was so confused and so depressed and giving up on life that I almost tried to take my life, because these things were so much on my mind and I couldn't get it off, and there was no one that held my hand and say it's okay, you're better, you're good. No, there was no person like that to give me that kind of comfort that I needed. And because of those negative things that were said to me, I wanted to end my life, because in my head, in my mind, those things were constantly running. And for one moment I thought that the human life is gifted. It's the highest creature, gifted. And why am I doing this? Is that I shouldn't let other people run my life, run my thoughts. And that was the time when I decided to turn around and say enough is enough, that I know their family, their close ones, their relatives, but I have a life of my own and I can reach heights. It was that time that I said to myself that I should say, stop it. And when they say that again and again, I said, stop it. You cannot judge me without knowing me. And they were like exploding over that. They said, how can you be so sure that you're something, that you can do something? I said, I can prove it. I will prove it to you one day. And if can you please stop saying those things to me, it would be so, so good. And sometimes from time to time I get very rude with them, like saying, like, if you would like if I start saying those things back to you. And they would go into a silent moment and they would look at me and just turn away. And that was the time when I made myself understand that I should say no to those things that they kept saying to me. And that was my biggest breakthrough, when I tried to put those negative things that they were constantly rotating in my mind. That was the biggest turnaround for me, when I said, no, this is not it. This is not what you say. Whatever you say is not true.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 26 at that moment.
Wow.
That was 2 years ago.
I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Debs.
Is it possible that you could maybe clarify for me a little bit here? Because you clearly shared that a lot of it has become a tape. You know, it's your own thoughts that when you look in the mirror or when you're just in the moment, you hear these, you know, your inner voice is continuing to say those things. But can you clarify for me, was the abuse that you endured and encountered, was it taking place in the school? Was it taking place at home by family members? Was it comments that were directly being said, or was it your interpretation of how they were speaking to you as a young girl growing up in a home of Indian descent? Priya, are you with us? Deb, are you there?
I'm here.
Looks like we may have lost her. I'm going to drop her back out and see if we can bring her back in. You understand what I'm asking, right, Deb?
Oh yeah, completely.
I'm somewhat confused, and I'd just like some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Priya, are you with us? No. So this is part of the challenges in this particular country where she lives. From what she's explained, is there's only one internet provider, and once the 3 o'clock hour comes into play and people start getting off of work or school, the internet becomes overcrowded on one server per se, and so it's very difficult to get service after 3 o'clock. And she's an hour ahead of East Coast time in the United States. I'm going to see if I can communicate with her on PM.
I can definitely understand where she's coming from too. I mean, I was bullied as a child in school, and I was able to. I had a lot of family backing. I had a lot of people telling me I was good enough, and that's the only reason why I didn't believe what they told me. But those words still hurt, and they still echo, they still replay in your mind no matter what. Every bad thing that someone says to you, you tend to believe more than one good thing somebody tells you. It's a hard thing to get through, especially as a child.
How have you been able to navigate through those voices, those tapes, however we want to describe them, within yourself as an adult today? How do you work through that when it pops up for you?
I recently did a meditation, and it's on YouTube. It's about healing from PTSD or any kind of trauma. And one of the tips that I got that really helped is during the meditation, he was talking and he said, if there's any thought that comes into your head that's a memory, because it's a memory, welcome it. Say thank you for the wisdom that you have offered, and then you politely ask it to leave. So anytime that a thought or a memory comes up that I've already lived, it's there to protect us, but I'm not in that space anymore. I'm safe right now. So anytime that a thought comes up or a memory comes up, I thank it for the wisdom, and I say, you are free to leave now. Please leave. And it's like a guest, an unwanted guest there that they've overstayed, and now turn off the lights when you leave, kind of, but politely leave. And that's really, really been helping me in the last actually couple of days.
So it's a form of meditation.
Mm-hmm. You can also just do it if you have a memory that pops up or a thought that's not good enough, or any of those thoughts. You just thank you for its wisdom. Please leave.
Any other tools, modalities that you have reached for that have helped you navigate through those moments where you're hearing the voices?
I think meditation is huge. A lot of times people think meditation is to still and be quiet and not think. I have ADHD, so I think constantly. My mind is always moving. So actually, this was an exercise that was done in the Jay Shetty group, and he just told us to do one, and it was basically you plant a seed that you want it to grow. I took it a little further than just one seed, because I planted it and I went back and I watered it, but then I realized, okay, I can plant a whole freaking garden. So I planted a garden of the fruitages of the spirit, and every meditation I'd make sure the first part of it, I'd actually rip the seed package and I would dig it with my hands and feel it and be present and plant the fruitages of the spirit. And every day I'd go back and water and take any weeds that were there out. And I just kept on planting and planting and planting, taking care of the garden. And that really helped me to get through the fact of meditation is different for everybody. Sometimes it works just to still your mind, but sometimes a still mind creates stagnant water. So I had to be creative. And I think that's the important thing. Meditation is what it means to you, not to anyone else. It's what it means to you.
One of the challenges, I think, is just being part of being human, is that we carry all of a lot of the childhood experiences into our adulthood, and in doing so, we don't even realize how much we are affected as an adult by those experiences, and we're still in a very, very much of a survival space for ourselves. And so it's almost impossible for so many people to turn off those tapes and turn off those limited belief systems about oneself. And that's where there's so many different modalities that can help us navigate. And plus, all of it is really about healing. It's about understanding that those are untruths and lies, and we don't have to accept them anymore as being part of who we are. But that takes work, and it takes courage, and it takes willingness to step up and step in to do the work for yourself. Last week, Debbie, I've actually reached out to John Fiore to ask if he's available. I sent him the link to join us.
Oh, wonderful.
Right now, because I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get Priya back in. But you know, if she's supposed to be here for the balance of the show, she'll show up when it's the right time.
Exactly.
And so I'm okay with continuing the show and continuing this conversation, because we certainly heard enough in her sharing her story as to how much it's impacted her life in a very, very profound way. She's 28 years old today. And what she did share is that it was just only 2 years ago that she started to, I think what I heard her say indirectly was that she was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
And she was willing to just consider that perhaps everything that she had heard, whether it was directly from another person or from her own interpretation of how she was talked to and treated, she no longer wants to accept that those are the truths, and she's willing to do the work to heal her own mind, body, and soul. And so I'd like to share, if hopefully you're okay with this.
Yes, it was on my mind. I'm like, okay, we got to do this, but yeah, please.
What I'd like to share with the community is last week, Debbie and I did some work together, and I invited her to do an exercise with me, an exercise for herself that we would then work and walk together. And that was, I invited her to write a letter from her inner child to her adult child. And her inner child is, it's okay I say your inner child's name, is that okay?
My nickname as a child growing up was Boo Bear. My mom and dad and everybody used to call me Boo Bear.
Okay. And so the purpose of this exercise was for Debbie to first allow Boo Bear to write a letter to her adult self, and then for her adult self to write a letter back to Boo Bear, and then to read it out loud to herself, both letters, and then we would get together and she would share both of those letters with me. And what I'd like to ask you to do, Debbie, is if you're willing to share with me and the community, what was that experience like for you from the time I asked if you would be willing to do this little work with me here, what that experience was like during and after you wrote them, and then what it was like for you and I to do the work together, and how, if you've noticed any shifts or changes since we've done that work together.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So when you first asked, I was completely up for it, because I needed to try something new, and I wanted to see what could work, because I knew I was holding on to a lot of stuff. I didn't know what I was holding on to. So by being able to go into that space of Boo Bear when I was, I think, about 6 and up, to be able to go back and actually write out everything that was hurting, really, first of all, acknowledged everything that I felt, and it was quite an emotional journey just to write out. I had to stop a few times and wipe the tears away. But once I was able to write it all out, then I was able to come from my perspective of, I'm an adult now, and I can help this child. This child is reaching out for help, and any child reaching out for help, I would want to help them. So I was able to come from my adult self, from my experience, and write out and really show compassion and acknowledge the feelings of not being enough, and it was so empowering to be able to have the hurt, but then console the child. When I read it to myself, it was tearful, it was beautiful, it was releasing, but I knew that being able to trust somebody else to read it out to was even that more powerful. So when we were able to actually connect, and I was able to read it to you and release that, it just absolutely powerful. And I've been able to really step up, and now that story is no longer, I don't own it. It is now released, and I can tell a different story. I can heal from that. It was incredibly powerful for me.
How did it feel when we got together just a few days ago? And was the experience different reading it out loud to me as opposed to just reading it out loud to yourself?
Yes, because I already know my story. I already knew it. I was able to write it. It was kind of, when you read a book, you've already read it, you know what's coming. But when it's new for somebody else, and realize that, okay, I'm exposed, I'm vulnerable. I was able to be vulnerable to somebody else who I trusted, and that was huge. Being able to be exposed, to be vulnerable, and it be okay that I was incredible for me. I appreciate that you were there. That was amazing.
And how have you processed that experience on the back end of it now? You notice any shift or anything that's changed with your relationship with yourself?
Oh, completely. I'm able to be more creative now. And because I never really was a child as a child, I grew up really fast because it was a choice as a child that I made to not add more stress to my already mother's full plate of stress. So I made that choice as a child. So now that I was able to release that, I'm able to find my inner child again and accept that it's okay to smile. It's okay to have fun. It's okay not to be serious all the time. And I am quite funny. If you get to know me, I can be reserved a lot, but once you get to know me, I'm probably the funniest one in the party.
Speaking of funny, I've invited, since we lost our feed with Priyu, I invited a dear friend of yours to join us in the studio.
Yay.
And I'm going to bring him in right now.
Guys, hear me?
Well, look who we got here.
Hi, Doc. Hey.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Doc?
Caught me just before I was going in the shower, so I was really when I was listening to this gal, I got so emotional. I was just about ready to cut out, but I'm tapping through it, and I wished I would have had her right there so I could tap with everybody. But
can you explain what tapping is? Because I don't know, a lot of people might not know what that is.
Well, yeah, tapping is essentially energy movement in the body while we're recalling, tuning into a specific event or specific emotion. So, which helps you to move that emotion through the energy body and helps heal any kind of trauma or lingering energy memory, cellular memory in the body. So, yeah, you know what? It's so cool. I did a class on this last night, and I caught the last part of what you were saying, Deb, and I wanted to jump right in, and I couldn't because I couldn't connect. This thing only accepts Chrome, and I don't use Chrome. I use Safari, so that's why I was fighting with it, but we got through anyway. The whole basis of EFT is pretty much what you said 5 minutes ago, Debs. It's honoring and accepting where we are in the moment. That's the setup statement in EFT. That's actually where you declare, this is where I am in the moment. And you don't have to accept yourself because you may not be there yet. You can accept that that's where you are in the moment. And that mental connection between mind and body starts to soothe the electrical connection between mind and body. In other words, wait a minute. Your brain is starting to hear that, wait, I can have a thought and I don't have to judge myself for it. So that's basically what you're saying to your brain every time you tap on a thought. You don't really even have to tap. The tapping is the charge of electrical current. Yeah. So that's what helps the healing go a lot smoother because you're moving current through the body. So what you were saying 5 minutes ago about honoring what you were feeling, that's exactly what the setup statement in EFT does. honor where you are, acknowledge and accept where you are in the moment, and then forgive yourself for any judgment you may feel that you're having with that thought. And then after meeting you guys, Spirituality Gone Wild, Jay, Debs, I incorporated going to a place of gratitude as a fourth component of this process. And what it does is it raises your energy right back up to a place where we're not vibrating low, which is where we don't want to attract, right? We want to attract at a higher vibrational flow. And so I had 12 people in class last night. I taught the class on the floor because I didn't want anybody to think that I was some kind of an authority. I shit you not, I was on the floor teaching this stuff. And sure enough, I had a couple of people, this stuff can bring up emotion. And I said to them, listen, that's what it's going to do. It's going to open up your channel for where your higher self is telling you this is where you're going to benefit from doing some work. So here's our guest is back, Jay.
Wonderful. And John, I was just going to say, what would you show Priya how to tap? What would you do to help her through this?
Well, you got to tune into a specific thought that you're going through in the moment or a feeling. Hi, Priya. I'm John. Do you know anything about EFT?
Hi. No, I don't.
Okay, EFT is an energy modality that helps to soothe mental states very, very quickly. We use it with a lot of PTSD, a lot of childhood trauma, and things like that. It helps the body to heal very quickly.
Okay.
And what I like telling everybody is any memory that you can recall that you still feel a charge going on in your body is something that's still alive and well at a cellular level. And that you are attracting in your life things based upon that. Jay's a computer guy. He'll understand that it's like a program that's running. Okay? So when you could recall an event and you feel a funny feeling in your chest, tightness in your neck, butterflies in your stomach, that is a clear indication that some energy is living inside of your body that really has not been fully cleared yet. So EFT is a very fast, effective tool for doing that so that you can clear that cellular, I don't like to call it a dysfunction, it's a cellular memory that it fills up your cells with cortisol. And cortisol is the stress hormone, as everybody knows. So the tapping actually sends serotonin flooding through the body, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter, and it relieves cortisol buildup. Cortisol is the fight or flight response neurotransmitter. It's what you feel when you're facing a snarling dog in front of you and you get all jacked up and all you know is, hey, listen, I either got to fight this dog or I got to run away. So that's the feeling that we get being abused as a child, being told we're no good. It's the same exact thing. The brain, the reptilian part of the brain, doesn't know the difference between a snarling dog and someone treating you disrespectfully. So in a child's mind, that is the same exact thing. And that's what we live with in our bodies until we learn how to clear it. And we've all done a certain amount of healing to a certain degree. Listen, I'm no expert. I don't know if we ever fully clear this stuff, but this is part of our human energy system, and that's how it works. I've been studying this stuff for over 10 years.
So that makes you an expert, John.
and I'm no expert, but I know it worked for me. I almost wanted to jump out of a window. So my anxiety was so terrible. So I know it helped me bring me back. And so much so that I knew I had to learn it to help other people with it. So it's just, this is the declaration point right here. We call that the setup statement.
And can we maybe all tap a little bit and kind of show everybody? Everybody, let's tap. I think it's awesome. Let's get this.
We need a subject or a thought or an emotion to tap on.
Priya, did you want to volunteer something? Are you okay with that?
I didn't get that.
Are you okay with volunteering an emotion that you would like to release?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Well, tell me what you're feeling, Priya. In the moment right now, just talking with us and being put on the spot here. And I'm so sorry to do that to you. But you're not only going to help yourself, but anybody that tunes in to listen to this.
Come on, Jay.
In this moment, you don't have to go into your past history. What are you feeling in this moment? It could be
How can I explain?
Confusion, nervousness.
I can feel a little heaviness in my chest.
Heaviness in my chest. Okay. Do you have an idea of what that's about?
Fear.
Okay. Now, I want you to tune into what that fear is about, but we're not going to talk about that publicly.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, now even though it's specific, bring it to mind what's going on and measure it now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how severe is that fear? Is what I would ask you.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Okay, very good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, even though, just repeat after me. Even though I'm feeling fear about something.
I'm feeling fear about something.
I can accept that that's how I feel right now.
That's how I feel right now.
And that's all I need to do.
And that's all I need to do.
Okay. And I could forgive myself.
And I could forgive myself.
For any part I have in that.
For any part that I have in that.
I was only a child. Things happened to me. That I had no control over. And I could forgive myself for any part I played in that. Okay, now what I'd like everybody to do is just put their hands on their hearts, close their eyes, take 3 nice deep breaths, and call to mind something you are grateful for. I'll check in with you in 10 seconds. Very good, guys. Okay, open your eyes and make sure you feel yourself sitting in your chair in the moment. Okay? Be aware of where you are. Now, Priya, I'd like you to tune into that fear. It was an 8. Where is it now?
I think it's 6 and a half.
Very good. You know what? Sometimes it doesn't move. Sometimes it goes up. If it goes up, means it's bringing up something else. And that's okay. You just follow the trail. And that's what you do in EFT. Okay, now we just tap a little bit and say, my fear was an 8.
My fear was an 8.
Now it's a 6.
Now it's a 6.
It's a little bit better.
It's a little bit better.
On the beginning of your eyebrow, right. Now on the side of your eye, Priya, on the bone, my fear was an 8.
My fear was an 8.
And now it's a 6.
Now it's a 6.
That means I'm feeling a little bit better.
That means I'm feeling a little bit better.
Now tap under the eye on the bone. I'm not there yet.
I'm not there yet.
But I'm moving in the right direction.
But I'm moving in the right direction.
I'm giving myself some good self-care here.
I'm giving myself some good self-care here.
I'm accepting that I still have some fear inside of me.
I'm accepting that I still have some fear inside of me.
In the chin point.
In the
Right, say that. That's all. In the chin point, say, I still feel some fear in my body.
I still feel some fear in my body.
Now, tune into that, Priya. See if you feel that feeling in your chest.
Not anymore.
Okay. So
not anymore.
Now, here's the last point, guys. This is an important point. Dig into your ribs and take a nice deep breath. And you're going to feel your whole emotional body calm right down.
That's so true. Oh my God.
So
I can feel that.
Tune into your fear. See if it's still a 6.
No.
What would you say it is now?
I would say it's 4.5.
4.5.
I feel so much calmer.
Okay, I'll show you guys another little trick when your emotions are very high. Put your hand on your heart, your left hand, and search between your pinky finger and your ring finger. There's a little indentation on the back of your hand. This is the gamut point. They use it in EMDR. Okay? And this sends a direct connection to your brain that it's okay, you're safe to relax. We can just say, Priya, just repeat after me. I feel that my fear is at about a 4.5.
I feel that my fear is about 4.5.
It's still there at about a 4.5.
It's still there about 4.5.
And I can accept that that's where I'm at.
And I can accept that where I am at.
I'm allowed to be there.
I'm allowed to be there.
No one can tell me how to feel.
No one can tell me how to feel.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
And I own my feelings.
And I own my feelings.
And I do not accept people mistreating me.
And I do not accept people mistreating me.
Well, take a nice deep breath. Tell me if it came down a little bit. Tune into that.
It shifted. Not much.
You feel we got like a 1 left? All right, here, guys, here's another little trick I'm going to teach you. When you could get an emotion down to like very low number, but like maybe a little fragment of it still exists, that's the mind trying to hold on to it. So what I'm going to teach you now is we go back to that point and tune into that fear to the best of your ability. Now, keep your head straight and without moving your head, look hard up to the left, to the right. Move your eyes up there. And then take your eyes and move them hard down to the left without moving your head. Now take your eyes hard up to the left and look at the ceiling. Now take your eyes hard down to the floor and look at the floor to the right. Close your eyes and open your eyes. And everybody just hum. And everybody just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5.
Now take a nice, big, deep cleansing breath. And tune into that fear now. Tell me where we're at.
So much better.
Okay.
So much better.
Better like a 0 or better like a 0.5 or a 7 or?
A 0.8, I would say.
0.8. Okay, so in other words, there's still a little bit left. Let's tap right here. No, here's what we'll do. Let's go to the karate chop again and declare, even though there's a little bit of this left, and I don't know what it's about, I accept that that's where I'm at. I see that little bit of fear that's still left, but I accept that that's where it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm feeling much better than I did before.
I'm feeling much better than I did before.
Good. Okay, just tap through. And let's try and feel into that fear. Let me know if it goes up. It could go up. That little bit of fear that was left. Tap on the eyebrow point. That little bit of fear. Keep breathing, guys. Nice deep breaths. I want you guys to know, as you tap for her, you're also healing yourself. Okay, side of the eye. That little bit of fear that's left. Priya, how you doing? Did it go up?
Great. No.
No, very good. Under the eye. Priya, I want you to know you're surrounded by love.
Thank you so much.
You didn't find this community by accident, let me tell you. Under the nose. You're with loving people and you're very safe here. There is not a stitch of judgment in this group, and we're all here for each other. Okay, put your hands on your heart. Go to a place of gratitude. Let's be grateful for this beautiful platform that you guys put together right now. Take a nice deep breath and let it out through your mouth very slowly. Feel your body melt and relax. Okay, now let's search the body for any fear right now. Does anybody feel any fear in their body? Okay. So, in essence, what we just did, that's good, is when David talks about the vibrational scale, David has this boot camp on this channel, and he talks about a vibrational scale, Priya. And we want to avoid, or how would you say, relinquish as much of these emotional intensities as we can, because we don't want to attract at that level of intensity. I don't want to attract more fear, so I don't want to be walking around with a fear level of 8, because I'm in a guarded state. So I'd rather be at a 6 or 4, but I'd really rather be at a 0. I want to feel safe as much as I possibly can. So this tool, acknowledge, accept, forgive, and go to a place of gratitude, is something you can do in the moment when you have a fearful thought, anything that's on your mind, to lower the intensity of that, whereby you're raising your vibration to be attracting. Look, let's face it, guys, this is nothing but a self-love and a self-compassion technique. When we raise our level of self-compassion and self-love, we are vibrating with the Creator. And that's where we want to be. For as much time as we can. But now we're just going to call to mind our blessings. Our blessings are, and every one of us in this room knows what the dark is. Okay, so if we didn't go through our dark times, we wouldn't know how good it is to be where we are now. So I want everybody to be in gratitude for that. We could be grateful for our dark time because we know the contrast of where we are now. We know how good it is to feel this good right now. And that's what contrast is. And that's when David talks about it, Debs, you don't know what good is unless you know what bad is.
Yeah.
And Debbie G likes that you don't know your spark and
your dark. Yeah, you don't get your spark unless you have your dark.
Everybody had a different way of seeing it, but I didn't realize it the way I did now until David explained it when the stream came along. So
David Circle, and he talks about this vibrational spiral, and he has a group called Trust in Your Abundance. It's Taya Boot Camp, and it's been incredible for me just to catch myself before I slip down the spiral. If you think of it as a staircase, and you want to constantly keep going up, but if you go down a few, that's okay, but you catch yourself before you make it a slide and go all the way down. You don't want to go down the spiral so far. Yeah.
Debbie, what tool do you use besides EFT? You know, we're all interested in all the different tools, whether it's a mental tool, a tapping tool, whatever you got.
Well,
get back up your spiral quick.
I use a lot of tapping. It helps me, even if I don't have much to say outward, I know that I am tapping and releasing whatever it is I don't even know I'm feeling. So I just tap.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I do that a lot. And also, we talked about this, Priya, a little bit, about when there is a thought that comes in, because all it is a memory. And you have to be in gratitude and thank that memory for its wisdom. And then politely ask it to leave. And that has really helped me with all of the PTSD and all the trauma that I did go through, to release it safely and say, okay, thank you for being here, but it's time to leave. And kick it out the door, but gently.
Thank you. I like that.
John, I'd like to thank you for
that worked really well for me. And meditation, just anytime. Yeah, you can close your eyes and meditate for 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a 15 minute. 30 seconds works.
John, I'd like to thank
you. And gratitude.
Yeah,
can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
John, I'd like to thank you for joining us.
I don't know if she's there, but that's okay.
For jumping in with such short notice and doing this impromptu tapping session.
Thank you so much, John. I just wanted to say, he has helped me so much go through my trauma. He told me to pick something small in my childhood, and I went for the big, because I just go big or go home, and I just did it all, and it really helped just getting that through and just getting that great big.
You're very brave, Deb. You don't. We never want to bring anybody to an uncomfortable situation, but to your credit, bless you, you've done so much work to get it down to a point where you felt like you could go after it.
Yes.
And the fact that you cleared that out of your emotional body, I can't guarantee anything. Look, I'm not the creator, but I can tell you with a good degree of certainty that you will be attracting better than that, because you moved that out of your emotional body. And it's so good to know that we have awareness or tools or meditation or whatever we like to do to help us to feel better. Mm-hmm. So, Jay, I gotta tell you, you're looking really fit, brother.
So you're looking good too. Thank you, John.
I wanted to say, it's kind of like doing a spring cleaning or cleaning out your house and getting rid of what you do no longer need. And once you're able to get rid of it, you have room to get the stuff you wanted. But if you're holding on to all that junk and all that extra stuff that you don't even use or remember even you have, once you get rid of it, you have so much space for everything else that needs to come in that you want.
You guys know Louise Hay?
No.
Louise Hay from Hay House, the author.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, she passed, I don't know, within 2 or 3 years ago. A real big spiritual teacher in the United States. And Louise Hay used to do a little bit of tapping, and she said, if you're going to clean out the house, you got to be able to see the dirt. Mm-hmm. And that's what tapping does. It helps you to see the dirt so that you can move it out. because if you don't move it out, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a dirty cut. So that's what essentially what EFT does. But we all have our ways of doing it. And you know what? I've come to know I'm not an EFT snob. I don't think that my way is the only way. I want to try his way and go hiking with him. I want to do that. I want to try different modalities. And I'm kind of going renegade with EFT. And I'm not sure my community is totally on board with that. But at this point in my life, I don't care. I'm just here to help people. And however that's going to work, I'm going to do it. So
that's exactly my viewpoint too. It's whatever works, it works. My friend Daphne from Daphne's Healing Hands came over today to help me release a lot of negative energy, and I don't know exactly what it was she did, but I feel incredible and I feel energized, and I'll maybe have to bring her on the show sometime to show what she did, because it was incredible.
Works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Priya, can you hear me?
How are you feeling, Priya?
Priya, can you hear me?
Priya, how are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I can hear both of you.
Okay.
I'd like to bring it back
Well,
to
it's 12:04. I don't know where Jay is, but
Jay's here.
Oh, I can't see him or hear him.
I just took Deb out.
Jay,
Let's
feel
see
free to take me out if you want.
It's okay. Deb, can you see me now and hear me now?
I still can't see Jay. I can just hear. I can't even hear him. But that's
John. Can you ask
I
Deb
can see you
to? Could you ask Deb to go out of the app?
I can see him on the show, but not actually in the lobby.
In the room?
Ask
Jay,
Deb.
you want me to stop my camera?
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you to jump off and maybe ask Deb to jump off and have her come back in. Have her close the app and come back in. Can you repeat that to her? Because she's not hearing me.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump off. Good spending time
Thank
with
you,
you.
John. I
I'll
appreciate
watch
it.
the rest of the show.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you. Thank
Deb, can you? Okay, I lost Deb there. Okay, good. All right, she's going to come back in. Hopefully she'll hear me now. I suspected she wasn't hearing me for a while.
Hey, I can see you and hear you now.
Okay, that's interesting. Priya, I just want to thank you for working to come back in. I'm sure you had some internet challenges before.
Yeah, the power went out. I'm sorry about that.
You do not. I refuse to accept that apology because you don't owe us one. So take it back. Please take it back. Okay. This is no one's fault. This is just how it happens. Sometimes, we have technical difficulties, and it's just how we respond to it that either puts us in a state of anxiety, panic, or we just go with it, flow, and just accept that sometimes the universe has different plans than what we have intended. And so I honor you. I am so grateful that you stepped back in and that things worked out exactly as they needed to. John was able to jump in and then do this spontaneous EFT session with all four of us. But I would like, I know we're a little bit over. If you are able to stay on a little bit longer, Priya, I'd like to just spend a little bit of time circling back to really about where you are at in the past 2 years. You mentioned that there's the last 2 years that you started to really come home and work on yourself and your healing process. Could you share with Debbie and I what that has looked like for you, and how has your life improved and changed over the past 2 years since you started on, as you described, your healing journey?
Well, for the past 2 years, I've been learning so much about self-care and how to appreciate myself, how to love myself, the little things that make me human and that make me beautiful, and how I've learned to be independent and start doing little things, not big things, but little things that are successful. And I couldn't have done that by myself. My cousin really helped me with that. And being from that point where I start being thankful for those things that I can do and I can accomplish was a big turning point, because those voices that was rotating in my mind, I was able to finally erase them from my mind. And for the first time, I realized that for all those years I've been letting those voices control me. I have let those voices run my life. And because of these little things that I was taught, to love yourself, appreciate yourself, your little success matters, that would really help me come out of that situation. Self-love was my first step to recover.
How did you know that that's what you needed to? How did you find that self-love was the only really way to find?
I wouldn't say it was the only way, but as a first attempt, I think it really helped me, and not something that I've tried before, but being the first time, it really helped. And maybe there's so many other ways that I can do to make me come out of that process that I've been going through for so many years. But it's just that I've never explored those areas.
And then being on the show is definitely a beginning. Like, this is, you have to feel, reveal, and then you heal. And I'm so happy that your power went out, because we had John come on, and he was like, he helped me so much, and I really hope that he helped you, because
I am so thankful that it's happened, that he did the EFT process that he did. It made me feel so relaxed. Like, I could literally feel it, like the heaviness that I felt in my stomach. It was gone after we finished all the tapping. It was gone.
It's amazing. I'll add you to his group, because he has a group, and I absolutely love, and John is just amazing. He's helped me through so much difficulty, so I'm just so happy.
I'm so thankful for that.
How are you feeling right now, Priya?
So good. Better than when I returned after the power failure.
You know, one question that's popping up for me right now is, I'd asked you the question before we lost you in the studio, but I'd like to take a different angle at it and ask you, with presuming that a lot of what you heard was actually coming from direct people, whether it be students at school or from at home, the words that were spoken to you that was so profoundly damaging to you as a young child and as an adolescent, as an adult, and especially in the last 2 years, have you been able to learn how to start to set some healthy boundaries for yourself with those people that may continue to want to treat you the way they have in the past? What does that look like for you?
One thing, since I've had that breakthrough from learning to appreciate myself, I have started moving away from such people. I try to stay away, because as far as I can remember, those were the people and their words that kept me in the dark, that damaged me, that injured me deeply inside. And because that I recognize it for the past 2 years, I have tried to get myself more to positivity and not to those people. And it has been hard, because many of them are close to relatives and friends. But sometimes I just say politely that I can't talk to you right now, or I don't have time, I have something important. I just don't let it be rude, but show the politeness that, I have something better to do than listen to your words.
Good for you.
Beautiful. I asked because one of the tools that really helped me in my healing process was that, and I'd like to share this with you, is that I learned early on that my inner child, who I thought had pretty much grown up and disappeared or gone away, was gone when I became that adult. And what I now understand is that a lot of the times when I am affected or impacted or triggered by people, places, and things, it's not me as the 57-year-old adult Jay, but it's my inner child, JJ, that in that moment is been impacted. So therefore, I know that my inner child is still alive and well and jumping up and down within my soul. And so what helps me today in my healing process, a huge tool, is when I'm as long as I'm willing to accept that is my truth, to know that. See, as a child, let's say, I didn't have the ability to protect myself because I was just a child.
Correct.
And I was counting on adults to nurture me and love me and protect me. And they did the best they could, but it wasn't good enough. And therefore, I was impacted and traumatized and wounded as a child that I then took into my adulthood, as you described as well. But here's where the game changer may come in for you moving forward, is that if you're willing to acknowledge that you as a 28-year-old is in fact an adult, and if you're willing to acknowledge that your inner child, you are aware that your inner child is still alive and still within you, and most of the time when you're hearing those voices say those thoughts or feel those thoughts of I'm less than, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm just not enough, that's your inner child who's reaching up and to you for help. And here's where the game changing takes place, is now for you as that 28-year-old beautiful woman, you now can take care of yourself, your child within.
Absolutely.
And you can help yourself just by talking to yourself and saying, I am here for you, I love you, I will protect you from today moving forward, and you never ever have to feel alone. So even when you walk into an environment, perhaps where some of those people that were hurtful to you and caused you a lot of hurt are there, you could walk into that moment, to that holiday, that moment, that experience with an intention set before you even walk in. You could have a conversation with your inner child, and you could talk to yourself and say, I am here for you, I love you, I will protect you, and I will set whatever boundaries need to be set in the moment. If they need to be set, I will set them for you. And now you could take care of yourself, unlike anybody was ever capable of doing for you. And you don't need anyone to do that for you today. You just need to do it for yourself. And that's the greatest gift you get to give to yourself today, is you get to love yourself, as you described, self-love. The self-love is not just loving yourself as this beautiful woman of age 28, but you could love your child that's still alive within you.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'll definitely try that.
I have a beautiful meditation that I'll send to you after. It's about 45 minutes about just really holding hands with your inner child and accepting all of who you are. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else? We are about 17 minutes over. That's okay, because you dropped off for probably at least that long.
Yeah.
And all, but that's okay. You showed up right when you needed to show up. And I'm so grateful that you were able to make it back onto the show, Priya. Is there anything else in your story that you feel that you would like to share at this time? Because we're here for you, and as long as Deb's okay with going over a little bit longer, we're here for you.
Well, apart from from the last year, is that I have able to bring myself out of my past situation. I have also learned that some people are going to let you down, and some are going to stand up for you. I thought from those moments where I was kept putting down all the time, I always felt that everyone would say the same. But because of that breakthrough that I had for the past 2 years, and I've able to talk to people and communicate, and people start appreciating me, that changed my whole perception that not everyone is the same, and that there's some people out there that would appreciate you, that would give a thumbs up for the little things you do. And that's something that really helped me in those 2 years, that there are people who would support you, and there are people who wouldn't support you in times in times of your bad and good. So that's really how I got strength to move away from those voices that I was constantly hearing over and over.
It's amazing that you're able to realize the ones that can't help you, and realize, like, if I keep doing this in my eyeball, it hurts. So you stopped hurting yourself essentially by cutting out those people. You don't have to cut them out and say, oh, you're out of my life for good. You just let them drift away. Exactly. Because they're no good for you anymore.
That's so true.
Well, ladies, I think we are at that time where I'd like to invite you, Priya, to perhaps share some closing thoughts and whatever is on your mind in this moment for yourself, and perhaps for someone else that may be watching on live or on replay that may need to hear something that you've said that will resonate with them. If you could share some parting thoughts with us, we would appreciate that.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank both of you for having me and allowing me to feel safe to share my story. I'm so thankful for that. And as per my closing thoughts, I want to say that for those people who feel they're nothing, that they're failure, that they're in this dark room, and you think you're alone, and you're not, and people get putting down you, and you feel that, okay, I'm a loser. You're not a loser. We're all gifted uniquely, and the human life is such a blessed life. And don't let others control your thoughts. Don't let others control your life. You're such a beautiful being, and I know not all of us have the courage to come out and speak. Not all of us can do that. And if you can make small steps, and that tapping is a huge step, but for me it's a very small step that he kept tapping. When I was 8, he kept tapping it. When I was 6, then he continued. I would say that was a small steps, and eventually my fear vanished. So I want to say, you take small steps, and getting rid of your fear, make it a big priority. And definitely you're going to get there. You're going to come out of all those negativity, those things that kept you back, that hold you back from becoming something that you always wanted. To get rid of those inner negativity and be a positive, peaceful human being. Don't let those voice and thoughts of others engrave in your mind forever. I mean, we can't get rid of it forever, but we can heal from it, and we can learn from those things. I just want to say to all those people, I know many persons are going through so much that they're afraid, they're scared to come forward and talk to people, and they're afraid to share their story because they're afraid that they're going to be criticized. Well, people would put them down, that you shouldn't be doing this with other people who you don't know. And I just want to say that take that first step, then you will definitely feel better, because I'm already feeling so much good.
That's beautiful.
Deb, how about you?
Yeah, that was wonderful, and I'm so honored that you came on and you chose to fight through that fear, and we could feel it, and I'm really happy that John was able to walk you through that, and you just took that step, and I'm so proud of you for saying yes to that. We might not know where we're going, but we do need to know and trust that first step is the next step, and then the next step after that. But we only need to think about that one step. That one step. If you, we're so sorry. Yeah, we're so programmed to plan everything ahead, and don't take a step until you have all your ducks in a row. But we need to really break free of having to think it has to be perfect before we take a step. We actually have to take a step to make it perfect. So you take that step first, and then it's just like a baby. What does a baby do when they start walking? They just trust that they're going to take another step, trust that they're going to take another step. So I just wanted to say to everyone, just don't be afraid to take that step. The more fear that you have with that step, you're going to just take steps back and just keep going forward.
And the first step is so much important.
Yeah.
If you keep yourself from taking that first step, then you're never going to make that first step.
Yeah.
That I would say, I learned to take that first step, and from the first step, I went to the second step, and the third step, and eventually, someday I will reach the top. And for all those people, please, it takes a lot of guts. I know it takes a lot of guts to make the first step, and it's about time you do it. Take little steps, and you'll definitely reach there.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, ladies. I would like to just have some closing thoughts and comments. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining us today. I honor you, I respect you, and I am humbled by your courage to show up and step into the studio and share your truths today. I also want to thank John for jumping on during the technical difficulties, and then staying with us long enough to offer a EFT tapping session to help you get through that fear factor, probably some stress as well after having lost.
I'm so excited to learn that.
Yeah. And I'd also like to just thank those that joined us today live in this show. We had so many people with us holding your hand, including Lisa, who just jumped on from outside of the UK, outside of London, I should say. Victor Bravo, Kristen Heimbecker joined us as well. Linda Montisi, Debbie Garcia, the founder of Spirituality Gone Wild. Lisa Dennis was with us today as well. Donald Cortez Schur, my sister Sharon, my mom coming in from New York and Florida. And I'm sure many other guests I've already mentioned. If I have, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to also ask that in the next day or so, if you can come back and perhaps read some of the comments and questions, if there are any, and feel free to reply and respond. And my closing thoughts regarding just the healing process and stepping forward as you have done for the past 2 years, Priyu, is that what I've learned is that as in the healing process, we have part of it is understanding that we have choices today. We have a choice and we can have a voice. And once we begin to embrace just those two simple words of choice and voice, therein lies many of the baby steps that we can take to start to learn how to take care of ourselves that lead to self-love. And with that, I think we're going to sign off now. Thanks again for joining us today on Real People, Real Stories Raw. We'll see you on Sunday with our normal time slot, in addition of Real People, Real Stories Raw. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And don't forget to share this out, everyone. If you've seen something that you help with, that helped you, just share it with other people.
And thank you all the viewers for watching and tuning in, for taking the time. Thank you.
We'll see you again. Maybe we'll have you on a show another time down the road when you've had some additional breakthroughs in your healing process, and you'd like to come on and share it with us. Then you're always welcome to come back in.
I'll definitely do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Thanks, guys.